Good evening, everyone. This is Utkarsh, the coordinator for communication and events at the Foundation for Agrarian Studies. On behalf of the Foundation, I welcome you all to the third seminar of our FAS Young Scholars online seminar series 2024-25. Crashed Futures, a sociological investigation into the failure of cardamom future markets, which will be presented by Tony Kurian, assistant professor at the Azim Premji University. Please note that this session is being recorded and it will be made available on the YouTube in the future. I now invite Dr. Sandeepan Bakshi, Director at the Foundation, to speak a few words about the series and the Foundation. Sandeepan, over to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Utkarsh. Good afternoon, or good morning, good evening, based on whichever part you're joining us from today. I am Sandeepan, Director at the Foundation for Agrarian Studies. And on behalf of the Foundation, I warmly welcome you all to the third seminar of the third round of FAS Young Scholars online seminar series. As you may be knowing, this platform allows young scholars working in agrarian studies and the socio-economic life in rural India and elsewhere in South Asia to present their work to a larger research community and explore opportunities for future collaboration. I'm pleased to inform you that as was the case with the previous two rounds of the seminar series, we are seeing consistent and enthusiastic participation even in this round. And I hope that this enthusiasm will continue to grow in the coming months as we cover a range of topics, including agrarian and labor relations, agrarian history, groundwater governance, and the role of women's work in rural India, to name a few. Some of you may recall that our seminar explored the trajectory of, the previous seminar that is, explored the trajectory of agro-industrial capital in the apple sector of Himachal Pradesh. And I had commented in that day in my introduction that with this round of the seminar series, we are getting opportunities to venture into some topics that we have not explored much. And I'm very happy to state that today's seminar topic related to the subject area of futures market of commodities adds to that list. I'm also very happy to state that today's speaker, Dr. Tony Kurian, is an old colleague. Welcome, Tony, and thanks for being here. I also welcome today's discussant, Dr. Sumalata, from the Gulati Institute of Finance and Taxation, Kerala. Most importantly, I express my gratitude to the seminar series chair, Professor Barbara Harris-White, Emeritus Professor of Development Studies at the University of Oxford, a well-wisher of the Foundation, and a constant companion of the seminar series since its very inception. Let me also thank RLS for their ongoing, the Rosa Luxemburg Stiftung, for their ongoing support in facilitating this seminar. Now, without further ado, I invite Professor Barbara to initiate and moderate the proceedings. In the interest of time, please enter your comments and questions in the Zoom Q&A section, Q&A box. They will be addressed during the interactive session that will follow the presentation. Now, over to you, Professor Barbara.
Thank you, Dr. Sandeepan. It's always a pleasure and privilege to collaborate with you in these seminars. So I'm very grateful. And I want to repeat what Sandeepan has just said, that this round of seminars is really stretching the theory and concept of the agrarian to pre and post-harvest, to upstream and downstream linkages. The last seminar was a study of corporate input supplies in Kashmir, and we are turning to the post-harvest part of the system today. So that quite general issues, theoretical issues, are raised by these current presentations, and it's very exciting. Today we have Tony Kurian, who has a PhD from IIT Bombay on the political economy of futures markets. He's held a Fulbright at Amherst, and he now teaches, as Sandeepan said, at Azim Premji. And to discuss Tony, we have Dr. Sumalata, who is an assistant professor at the Gulati Institute for Finance and Tax, which is called GIFT in Tiruvananthapuram. And she is the right person to discuss this lecture. She's expert on agricultural commodity future markets in Kerala and nationally. So I was going to say without more ado, but what I need to do is to explain the rules of batting order, that Dr. Kurien is invited to speak for about half an hour. Dr. Sumalata is invited to discuss for about 10 minutes, after which we throw it open to Q&A from all of you in the audience. And you're invited to put your questions in the chat box or the Q&A. Sandeepan, I'm not sure which, but I will try to make an order to the comments that you want to throw at the speaker or the discussant in the chat box. And if there's time, I may add my own comments. Okay, so without more ado, really now, over to you, Tony. And thank you very much for a fascinating topic, crashed futures, the failure of Cardamom.
Good evening. Thank you. Can I start by sharing my screen? Thank you, FAS and RN Stiftung for this opportunity. Really, thanks a lot to Professor Barbara and to Professor Sumalata, for being here and being supporting. And thank you all for joining us here. This is a part of my PhD, which I did, as mentioned, from IIT Bombay under the supervision of Professor Anush Kapadia. My paper is a part of my PhD. And essentially what I'm trying to understand and present here are the sociological reasons behind the failure of Cardamom futures market. I thought it's good for us to do this presentation by answering these 4 questions. To start with, what is the rationale for selecting Cardamom? Now, futures market is, there are many commodities in the futures market, so why Cardamom? What framework do we use, and then for the actors, and then finally the finding part, why did Cardamom fail? Now, before I start, I thought it's advisable, I'm sure most of you are aware about what futures market is, but I thought it's just to be on the same page and the same line. I thought I'd give a 101 on futures, like a very watered down version. So let's say I'm a cardamom farmer from Kerala and you are a sweet shop owner in, let's say, Bikaner, and you are worried that 3 months down the line for Diwali or Holi, and you anticipate the cardamom prices to go high, and I'm anticipating that my cardamom prices might go low. So how do we settle this problem? Now, let's say Utkarsh, as an exchange, as a futures market exchange, will come to us and say that, hey, you know what, I got a solution for you. I will design a contract for you, and you can sign this contract, and you can lock in some kind of price, so that both of you can mitigate risk, emerging from price fluctuation. And that is how, very, very crudely put, that is how the futures market is sort of thought about. Now, it's a different question altogether whether futures market actually functions like this. Definitely no, but just to have a bare minimum sort of an understanding of what futures market is. Now, let me start with summarizing the presentation. So futures market now relies on 2 kinds of commensuration. Commensuration is a way to say that it needs 2 kinds of equalization. One is the commensuration between what I mentioned, the futures contract, and the underlying commodity. In our case, it's the commensuration between the futures contract and Cardamom. Not just that, commensuration also has to happen between all lots of underlying commodity. That is to say that every Cardamom, every sack or every lot of Cardamom that is sold in the futures market under a particular contract should be the same. There should be no variation. And these commensurations are very important and are crucial for futures market to function. However, from people like Mary Douglas and others, we know that commensuration is not an easy thing to happen. Societies need to invest a lot in ensuring that commensurations happen. and they stay in place. That is very important. Why? Because the non-dominant actors, or people who are not, people who want to change the power equation in the futures market, will always try and change this commensuration, or will always try and derail this commensuration. So for that reason, commensuration is very, very difficult to happen. It's even after it is institutionalized, commensuration can always be derailed if the non-dominant actors in the market, as I shall explain, as it was the case in the futures market for Cardamom, it could be derailed, and that derailing can have brutal consequences for the futures market. Now, as I mentioned before, futures market was definitely intended to reduce uncertainty. That was the key plan behind futures market. However, the local traders of Cardamom, whom I shall explain in detail in a bit, but they felt that, well, instead of reducing our uncertainty, this thing has increased. So we are now put into a cauldron of high uncertainty due to futures market. And the reason they felt that was because, unlike the spot market, which happened at their backyard, futures market was dominated by traders from Mumbai and Delhi, because the exchange in my 101 example of futures market, our exchange was represented by Utkarsh. We will slowly replace Utkarsh with MCX, and I shall explain MCX in a bit. But the exchange which controlled or which designed the futures market were dominated by traders from Mumbai and Delhi, and this was not something that the local traders of Cardamom in Kerala was used to, because they were happy kings in their own backyard. So what do you do then if you are a regional market maker, or if you're a trader from Kerala who is now finding way too much uncertainty in the futures market, which is which for Cardamom? What do you do? My explanation, and this is the summary of findings which I shall break down, is that they created a particular market structure. And how do you do that? You do that by implicating the quality of Cardamom in it. And what I do, and what I shall explain this in a minute, is to sort of come up with a framework, what I call core politics. It is obviously a combination of the word quality and politics, in which I say that the quality of the commodity, in this case Cardamom for us, is implicated in the politics of market. So there is a two-way relation between the market structure and the quality of a commodity, and the local traders in the Cardamom market are able to create some kind of a disequilibrium in core politics, so that the futures market is derailed. I just want to sort of call out the fact that I studied two more commodities in my PhD. The second was pepper, and third was chickpea or chana, and one of the I managed to find different kinds of disequilibrium or equilibrium in core politics when it comes to these three commodities. What I will do today is to explain the disequilibrium in core politics when it comes in the case of Cardamom, but it is also informed, the framework of core politics is also informed by my study on pepper and chickpea. Okay, so what is the history of futures market in India? To briefly state that, now India had a long history of futures market. Now there was a Mumbai or a Bombay Cotton Association, I believe started in 1875 or so. There is a Bengal Jute Association or a Calcutta Jute Association, and you had very many small commodity associations who did something that looks like a futures market in their own area. So you had a small, you had 20 odd regional or a single commodity exchanges which used to function for different commodities, right, in the regional areas. Now, they were not futures market in a very financialized sense, but they were mechanisms to lock in the future prices, and in that sense, they were futures markets. What happens in India somewhere in early 2000s, post the new agricultural policy, central government, this was NDA 1, decides that futures market is a way to go ahead, and instead of having these futures market at regional level, which only serve one commodity, why don't we have futures market at national level, and we will have exchanges who can set up futures markets for multiple commodities. There comes an exchange called multi-commodity exchange, or MCX. A word about MCX. MCX as an exchange is not primarily interested in agricultural futures. As an exchange, their primary interest is in all that glitters and bullion. Unlike other exchanges, something called National NCDEX, whose primary interest is in agriculture. However, MCX do start a few agri-commodity futures markets, Cardamom being one of them, right? So in 2006-07, MCX decides that cardamom is a great commodity to have futures market for, and they implement a futures market in cardamom. What also has happened is that post the implementation of new agricultural policy in early 2000s, almost all single commodity regional exchanges has either vanished or shut down. And my case on paper is one such case. There was a thriving futures market for paper for quite some time, with all its limitations, yet functional. And as of now, there is no futures market in paper. Post the implementation of the new agricultural policy, the paper futures got shut. That's a different story. Okay. So the fieldwork for this study was from 2018 to 2022-23. The first half was done virtually, physically, and for sure this is also a victim of pandemic. And then second half of the fieldwork had to be done on virtual mode. So many of the interviews that I would be alluding to today happened on virtual mode, and the large part of data collection happened through semi-structured interviews. When I started this project, my objective was to study futures markets. So I thought it's good enough to study traders and exchanges in Mumbai and Delhi. I started with that and met officials of MCX in this case, and other key officials, who are, critical in designing policies on futures market. However, soon I realized that if one is to tap the politics of futures market, one need to get into understanding how spot market works. The reason for that is that there are particular ways in which futures and spot markets are linked, right? And if one need to figure out how futures market work, and if one is interested in what led to the crash of futures market, one has to understand how spot market works. So that's when I landed up in Kerala, where I ended up interviewing all stakeholders in the cardamom futures market. There are 12 auctioneers. There were 12 auctioneers when I did my fieldwork. I interviewed 8 of 12. I interviewed roughly 40 odd traders, local political leaders, officials from spice boards, so on and so forth. Right. Okay. So why cardamom? Now, cardamom was expected to do very well in futures market by many people for the reason that it is a commodity with reasonable price volatility, despite it being only grown in a limited area. The cardamom as a commodity has a vibrant international market, and it's a commodity that can be stored for quite a bit of time. So people thought that, hey, futures market should work on cardamom. Now, when I say that, one of the reasons, the way I say is that cardamom futures failed or crashed. So what is the metrics for that? How do you estimate whether a futures market failed or succeeded? I take my cue from the mainstream financial literature, and I say that the way to understand the proxy to understand the performance of a futures market is liquidity. And for us, the proxy for liquidity is the number of contracts traded. So that gives us a proxy for liquidity, and that's a standard practice in the mainstream financial literature. And I think that's one of the simplest way to go about the business. So what happens in the case of cardamom? This is from the MCX data, and as you can see, the cardamom futures started reasonably okay. It had its heyday, quite some time, and then it kind of started to taper off and decline from 2013. In 2021, MCX, and that's interesting for me because this was a time when I was actually trying to do fieldwork, at least virtually. This is a time when MCX go to SEBI. SEBI is the regulator. Oh, I'm sorry, SEBI is the regulator for futures market as well. Goes to SEBI and says that we are interested in shutting down the futures for cardamom because there is no liquidity in the market. So MCX requests SEBI to release them from the responsibility of running the futures market in cardamom. While most of this presentation would be on the decline from 2013 to 21, mostly in the last 3-4 years, a couple of minutes also would be spent in explaining why futures market actually started to pick up some momentum in the earlier period of its existence. So, as I mentioned before, I use the framework of core politics to understand why cardamom futures failed, or in fact, as a framework to understand the functioning of any kind of futures market. In this framework, and I take the cue from works of Lawrence Bush and Richa Kumar and a whole lot of others, who says that quality is not a way, it's not, they don't look at quality like the way, let's say, transaction cost economics would look like. They believe that quality has a lot to do with power, and the way power is embedded in quality standards. The major idea is that non-dominant people will try to take benefit of even the minutest variation in quality, and they would use that to their benefit, right? Now, I say that that's fair, that's fine, and that's a very valid point. I try to improve a little bit on it, saying that what happens in markets like that of futures is that quality parameter, that particular aspect of quality, the ability of quality to embed power in it, is then used to influence the way market is structured, right? So if cardamom futures could work from 2007 to 2012, it is nothing inherent in the nature of cardamom as a commodity that resulted in its failure, right? So the quality aspects by itself did not result in its failure, but the quality is one attribute on which the traders of cardamom, the spot market, the local traders of cardamom had their expertise on. So they tactfully utilized those expertise on quality and the ability of quality to embed power in it in a way to derail the futures market. So it's not something inherent about quality that gives it the ability to influence the market structure. It is the politics that interacts in the transaction between the quality attribute of a commodity and the market structure that creates brings in consequences like we have in the case of futures. And core politics is also a way to understand manners in which people try to challenge both commodification and financialization. In the case of cardamom, a particular kind of financialization, right? Okay. Now, what framework do we use? So now it's kind of understood that the mainstream economics do lack a strong theory of markets. Now, one is definitely aware about the fact that there is a bit of a theorization on market from the transaction cost economics. There are recent theorizations on market from market microstructure, zero intelligence, so on and so forth, auction theories. However, they do lack a strong theory of market. And why do I say so? And the reason for that is because many of these frameworks lack a theory of power or how power work in market. Now, following Professor Barbara's use of the phrase "actually existing market," I club all of these fields from economic, heterodox econ to sociology to anthropology and all of that, who talks about power in market under the rubric of actually existing market studies. And I say that these strands of social science help us to understand how power works in market. A side note is that this is also a way for me to differentiate from myself or my theorization from that of the work in new economic sociology due to my disciplinary location. One of the issues with new economic sociology, whose home is at in university departments in United States primarily, the way they theorize market is at in a very micro foundationalist manner. So by by harping on to actually existing market studies. I say that one should theorize market not in a micro foundationalist manner in which the new economic sociology does, but rather in a more sort of a class-based sort of way. Okay. So who are the key actors? Now, we will be primarily concerning ourselves with two key actors in the market. One is the regional market maker, which primarily are the traders from Kerala, who are spot market traders in Cardamom. And the other is the national market maker, or traders from Mumbai and Delhi, who sort of have more sway on the way how the futures market for Cardamom functioned in the under the tutelage of MCX. These people are differentiated by their differential financial power. Now, the traders in Cardamom of Cardamom from Kerala have limited wherewithal when it comes to their financial bandwidth compared to traders from Mumbai, the national market maker, who had a far higher bandwidth when it comes to financial balance sheets. In other words, it's like it's a difference in means of distribution, and the particular means that we are interested in is their ability, is their access to finance or financial power, right? Now, regional market makers, and they are the key players for us because they are the ones who really derail the Cardamom futures market. These are people who exhibit the characteristics of the awkward class, the rural commercial capitalists. They are, and I shall explain. They have trading companies and auction companies. They are partly owned by Syrian Christians and partly by Tamil population, largely Thevars as of now. To summarize, the history of this is to say that the Syrian Christians started to migrate to Cardamom growing regions of Kerala from late 1940s, largely due to state patronage, for settling more Malayali in the high-range population, high-range areas. The Syrian Christians then slowly started to become politically significant in the Cardamom growing areas, which little by little they convert that capital into owning Cardamom trading companies. However, it's important for us to keep in mind that they did not go for ultra competition with the Tamil capital. In more than often, they collaborated with the Tamil capital, which was entrenched in the Cardamom trade, and that is why you see that when you look around, you will see Cardamom companies which are partly owned by Malayali and Tamil traders. These companies, as I shall explain in a bit, capture the entire value chain of Cardamom. Okay, here is something important for us. Now, if you're interested in understanding Cardamom futures, why do you even care about spot market? The reason for that, the reason for this is that there are two ways in which spot market is linked with futures market. Now, if not for these links, futures market could have functioned independently, and I would have have no burden of understanding the spot market to understand futures market. But because futures market cannot cut off its links with the spot market, we have to understand both the markets, right? How are they linked? The first way is futures market needs something called the final settlement price, which essentially means that on the day of delivery, the futures market need to understand how much the price of futures market is different from that of spot market, and that is kind of the manner in which the final settlement price is calculated. So for that matter, price needs to be understood, and final settlement price needs to be calculated. So that is one manner in which spot futures market cannot cut off it from the spot market. The other is more important for us, which is the logic of compulsory delivery. Now, the Cardamom contract, about which I shall explain in a short while, specifies that on the day of delivery, if you are someone who have promised to accept the delivery of Cardamom on the day of delivery, you have to accept the delivery. You cannot say that now I'm no more interested, or you cannot simply square off the position. If the opposite party enforces that the delivery has to be accepted, then you have to accept the delivery. which means that despite how much financial wherewithal the traders from Mumbai or Delhi had, they could not disregard the fact that the traders from Kerala, right? Because they could enforce the compulsory delivery aspect clause in the contract. So compulsory delivery and final settlement price links the spot market with that of futures market, right? Nature of commodity I believe I should be a little quick. So nature of commodity, cardamom is small cardamom is what we are referring to as cardamom here. I should have mentioned in the beginning, but 80% of that is grown in Kerala, and even in Kerala, a large majority of that is grown within what is called as the Cardamom Hill Reserve. It's like a 3 to 4 panchayats, let's say. It's a very quality sensitive commodity. It's a commodity of which the quality can change if you store for longer time. It doesn't matter to ordinary humans like us, but matter a lot for the traders. It's a commodity with very many quality grades. I think 22, if I'm not wrong. Even a small difference in the quality can make a huge difference in price. So if a bad quality capsules, you need 5,000 odd capsule to make 1 kilogram of cardamom. A good quality, you just need 2,800 capsule to make 1 kg of cardamom. It is very difficult for ordinary human beings who are not traders of cardamom to discern the quality of cardamom in a short span of time. And the nature of cardamom and the quality sensitivity of cardamom has a huge role to play in derailing the. Okay, so the
Tony, I think you've got about 10 minutes.
Sure,
maximum.
sure. I will definitely wind up before that. I'll definitely. Thank you. Okay. So contract, futures contract, unlike many in the financial economics or in finance would say, futures contract reflects the power structure in the market. So different elements. So a contract, a typical futures contract will have a handful of elements. So it will specify what quality, what quantity, when to deliver, where to deliver, what is the price ticking. So how much can the price move? What is the barrier on price, so on and so forth. I argue with detailed study of cardamom contract that each variable in this contract represent the preference of competing actors in the market. One of the things that one should understand is that spot market offers flexibility in quality, which means that if I'm a trader in the spot market, I can buy an ungraded lot of cardamom, then I can grade it and sell. But however, futures market doesn't allow me to do that. Futures market quality grades are rather strict. Remember that cardamom is a commodity with 22 quality grades. This is one of the main reasons why liquidity lacked. So why do I say that preferences of competing actors are reflected in cardamom contract? To give you one example, cardamom contract for futures market kept changing, and by which I mean the parameters of it, the elements of it kept changing. While I was doing the fieldwork, there appeared a curious contract that said that you can have cardamom that varies from 6.5 to 7.5 mm size, right? That is not usual for a futures contract to say. And why did that happen? That happened because, according to the multiple stakeholders in the futures market and spot market, this change in contract primarily happened because the futures market folks realized that if they have to accommodate some kind of quality variation, and they picked up this particular band of quality, that is 6.5 to 7.5, to aid what they call as a formula grade traders, right? So, which essentially mean that because people in the from North and East and West India cannot differentiate between a 6.5 or a 7.5 mm cardamom, if you allow a quality band like that of 6.5 to 7.5, the traders can obviously sell this in the East Indian or West Indian market, convincing the buyers that this is all 7.5 mm cardamom and make a great profit out of it. Remember that while I was doing the fieldwork, the price range was between 6,000 to 2,000 between a good and a bad cardamom. a price range between a 6 mm or a 7 mm cardamom can anyway range between 500 to 1500 per kilo per kg. That's to be important. Okay. Now, role of market maker, to be just a little fast. Now, spice board is very important. It's the master market maker. Spice board get to decide who has the auction license in cardamom. Now, auctioning is a way by which cardamom spot market functions, and spice board get to decide who gets the auction license. It is a very politically controversial business in the sense that there are a whole host of judicial, legal cases around who gets to be awarded, awarded cardamom licenses. But Spices Board plays the role of a master market maker. Now, auctioneering generates huge profits through a variety of streams due to laxity of time. I would not explain all of that, but remember that apart from the typical commission that auction companies are expected to get, they also make profit from a whole bunch of other good and bad activities, right? So it's like any other typical merchant capital who kind of bit here of slight manipulation here, slight manipulation there. Okay. What is to be also important to understand is that so who are these auctioneers? These auctioneers are companies established by cardamom planters, right? But so let's start from a cardamom planter. I'm a cardamom planter. I have my cardamom plantations. I'm a part of an auction company, but my auction company then spin off a cardamom trading company. So I capture the entire value chain from a planter to an auctioneer to a trader. So I have the entire, sort of cardamom thing with me. The other reason why people are interested in starting auction company is that there is enough data for us to now substantiate that depending on where your lot is placed during an auction, on a day of an auction, the price you receive would change, right? So if you are a cardamom planter, you would want an auction company under your management, under your control, so that you can ensure that your cardamom is placed at the right time in an auction. Now, these are the privileges one doesn't have in the futures market. Now, just to highlight that. Okay. One of the thing about e-auction. So cardamom had physical auction for the longest time. Sometime in 2006-07, they started e-auction. From the literature, we know that e-auction made things slightly transparent. But understand that e-auction in cardamom is done physically, right? Just to be sure on that. So people sit around a room full of auction terminals, like 60 of them, and then you are handed over a small, handful of cardamom, like a fist of cardamom. You have to examine the quality in 6 seconds, and then you bid in the auction. Now, this is very difficult if you're not an experienced trader to understand the ungraded lot, to estimate how much of this particular lot has good or a bad cardamom. What people do is to buy ungraded lots and then grade them and sell in the market and make a lot of money, because remember that as a commodity, cardamom is very, very quality sensitive, and minor quality variation can fetch you a lot of price. Okay, that's the end. I just wanted to summarize in the sense that to tell you, to sort of give you the gist of it, is that many of these elements in the spot market, the role of market maker as auctioneer, for example, or your ability to buy ungraded lots and grade and then make profit from the market, your expertise in understanding the quality of a particular lot of cardamom, these are elements that were not present in the futures market, because in the futures market, the traders of cardamom felt that they are mere, sort of price takers. So from 2007 to 12, that is when the cardamom futures had a bit of an uptake. People thought, the traders in Kerala thought that this is a great way to make some money, because now you can directly trade with some people from Mumbai and Delhi. But to their dismay, they soon realized that the manner in which the futures market price moved did not correlate with how the price moved in the spot market. So I met a handful of people, despite their Himalayan egos, confessed to me that they did lose a handful of money by trading in the futures market. So from 2012, what these traders do is to slowly signal to MCX that we are not interested, and the way they do that is by not participating in the Cardamom futures, and that is why in the table that I showed you, you will see that the liquidity slowly start to decline, with more and more traders refusing to participate. And because of the compulsory delivery logic of futures contract, one cannot run the futures disregarding the traders from Kerala. I hope that's the conclusion, and that's why the Cardamom futures, which was expected to perform well due to a whole host of reasons, eventually crashed and got wound up in 2021. Just the last note that 75% of agricultural futures markets post early 2000s have crashed. This is true for very many commodities where the expectation for futures was high, but could not materialize. And I believe that if one needs to investigate the politics around the spot market for these commodities, one can figure out why the futures market sort of crashed. So yeah, that's the end. Thank you.
Thank you, Tony. You have really brought a subject which I think people like me thought was quite nerdy and dominated by economists with regression models. You have brought it to life in a way that I think we could talk about for the rest of the evening. But instead of talking about it now, I would like to call on Dr. Sumalata to give her discussant's comments and perhaps synergize people's questions. And I encourage you to put them in the Q&A rather than the chat. Thank you. Dr. Sumalata, over to you.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Professor Barbara Harris, for the introduction. A very good evening to one and all. I am honored and privileged to be part of the seminar series as a discussant for the presentation on a very important topic, commodity futures market. First of all, I thank the Foundation of Agrarian Studies and Professor Madhura Swaminathan for inviting me for this discussion. Thank you, Tony, for the well-structured and a very good presentation. The topic is very relevant in the current context where financial technology is getting involved in all the activities. The key purposes of introducing commodity futures exchanges are to ensure price discovery and risk management. Futures markets supposed to generate information about the future spot market prices and ensure price discovery in the market. As Tony has rightly pointed out, the objective is also to reduce the volatility in prices. Futures market are also expected to give right signals for the decision making by various stakeholders. Most of the studies on commodity futures market dealt with impact of futures market on spot market prices by undertaking secondary data analysis on the relationship between futures and spot market prices of underlying commodities. Studies have also found the distortionary effect of futures market on spot market and presence of weak efficiency in the futures market. There are very few studies of this kind addressing the ground level issues using field experiences by taking specific commodities. This is important as the performance of futures market varies crop to crop. This study provides an overview of the state of futures market in cardamom, history of cardamom cultivation, trading and pricing in Kerala, and the linkages between spot and futures market. The study also explains why cardamom fails in the futures market. Most importantly, the paper introduced a different framework in explaining the failure of futures trading in cardamom beyond neoclassical economists' understanding of market. There is a need to understand the actually existing market and the influence of non-economic factors on market activities, which neoclassical theory of market fails in explaining. This is important in understanding the role of power in deciding the market activities. He tried to analyze how different is cardamom real market from the theoretically concept of market in understanding the functioning of futures market. The key actors identified are national market maker and the regional market makers. The role played by the auction companies and the politics involved in it are also explained in detail. So I'll come to some of the clarification and questions on the presentation. First of all, I would like to know the area of your, the regions in which you have undertaken your field work in Kerala. And because not all part of the state is growing, I hope you have taken the area where, the production is highest. And secondly, what about the other commodity exchanges? Are they trading cardamom? Because you have given data on multi-commodity exchange trading in cardamom, that is futures contract traded in the multi-commodity exchanges. So whether the other exchanges, because I see that national commodity derivative exchanges, they trade more agriculture commodities than the MCSs. Just to get a clarity on that. You have identified quality and politics are the key factors for the failure of futures market of cardamom. So I feel this is the same case as with the rubber and pepper, because I have done analysis for the rubber and pepper. You have clearly mentioned that you have also taken the other two crops, which is pepper and chana for the for your PhD dissertation. So for other crops, especially the pepper is concerned, the quality is very, very important, because they do have the pepper also having different qualities of varieties of pepper, which is traded in the, if I am wrong, please clarify it during the discussion. And very interesting is the interconnection between the quality and the politics framework that the author has used. I am very happy for that, because in economics generally this kind of studies are very rare, and real understanding of the market, you cannot find much studies from our discipline. So it's very interesting. And I'm also interested to see whether auction pricing of cardamom is something to do with the failure of futures market, or the success of futures market, because cardamom has the auction price unlike the other commodities. So the actors' involvement in the auction prices, as well as the political leader that you have been talking about, the political parties' involvement in auction taking. So does it have any kind of influence on the futures market? I would like to see that. And was there any compulsory delivery happens in the case of cardamom futures market? Because most of it is electronic trading, as you have discussed, you have clearly mentioned, and people sitting anywhere can participate and in the futures trading. Mostly the contract settlements take place before the maturity of the contract period over, right? So how does that the speculative trading that is has influence on the spot market? So that is something, the other way which I would like to know from you. I hope that you have some kind of input or material from the field to explain that. And also the fundamental thing is that futures market is not based on the actual supply and demand of commodities. It is highly speculative in nature. For us, let's say the spot market, where you know that how much quantity is produced and how much quantity is ready for sailing. So the price determination is based on the underlying factors of demand and supply. But that is not the case with the futures market. People, those who are sitting in Mumbai and trading in cardamom, may not be knowing even where cardamom is produced. So that kind of the issues are with the futures market. So the way in which we understand how it is related to the real market, that is something very, very important. I also feel that it is not necessary, but I feel that you could, to reach with your data, you could also have done some kind of analysis on price volatility of cardamom before and after the introduction of futures market. This will help you to know the state of uncertainty and instability in cardamom prices in the post-futures market. If we compare pre and post-futures market price stability, you can take kind of, the methods like standard deviation or variance analysis for the price data pre and post. Then you can see the variation in the prices. So that will help us to understand how the futures market is related to the spot market prices. And also it should give some kind of indication of, the domestic market prices with the international prices, as we are living in a world of, highly globalized economy. So international prices also influences the spot market prices. So that kind of some kind of understanding on that would also be good. And what is something which strike me is you were very silent on the minimum slots and margin required for the cardamom futures trading, because when I was doing field work on pepper, they were reporting that because minimum lot is required for enter into the futures trading. Similarly, the margin amount required 5% or 10% of the volume, right? So that makes the small traders and farmers not to be part of this trading at all. So that is also one of the important aspects as far as the lower bottom line of the stakeholders are concerned. And overall, it is a very good study, and I would say that you should publish it, and maybe you can think of a kind of comparison with the pepper and other crop in terms of the failure or success of futures market would be good. Instead of, because certain aspects are present in the other crops also. So what is very unique about cardamom in terms of futures trading? If you can bring out that, it would be really a good output of your study, because since you have already data for other crops, the analysis would be easier. I would also suggest you to go through some of the literature if you have not come across. There is a study in 2009 published by Newman on the futures market of coffee, where she explains the financialization of commodities. It's a different analysis, but you will get some kind of understanding of how coffee futures market functions. And another important study is agriculture commodity futures, searching for potential winners by Ashok Gulati, Tirtha Chatterjee and Siraj Hussain. It is a 2017 working paper, Indian Council for Research on International Economic Relations. And one more paper, it's not a promotion of myself. I have published a paper in EPW, you might have come across, on traders' participation in commodity futures market in Kerala. I've taken rubber and pepper cases. It was analysis on the traders' participation in the futures market compared to the farmers' participation. So I would like you to look into the major studies and little bit stronger the motivation of a study, because something which I find lacking in your presentation, maybe it is there in your paper, I didn't see the paper. I feel that it should actually come from the existing kind of studies. So something which I feel, that would have been presented. What are the existing studies on, specific to major agriculture commodities and specific to the cardamom, that would give you a clear kind of, stronger motivation for your objective. So overall, it was very good presentation. Thank you once again, FAS, and for nice presentation, Tony. Thank you, Barbara Harris, for giving me this opportunity. Thank you very much.
Srilata, that was really interesting, and yet again, suggests we could discuss it for hours. Tony, would you like to answer some of those questions? Definitely not all, because we don't have time, but ones you think would interest a general audience.
Sure. I mean, I can quickly do that. I mean, it's just not all, but of course. So the region of fieldwork, yes, it was in Vandenmede. That's where the auction of Cardamom happens, and I stayed there, and I met Cardamom auction companies in and around that area. So Kattappan and Vandenmede in Kerala. Other commodity exchanges, they don't trade in cardamom. There was some interest from an exchange called ICX, but they did not have takers. Yes, rubber and pepper, I could not elaborate due to paucity of time, but one can apply similar frameworks. And I'm actually now deeply interested in rubber for the reason that there is a rubber futures in Malaysia. But when India attempted rubber futures, it did not take off. So what then is an interesting question for me to think about. Pepper. Oh, okay. Pepper. Again, it's a commodity that I have analyzed using Copolitics. That again, it tells me that pepper had a long-running futures market for half a century or so before it was, the national NCDX took over, and then sort of things went not so great. Whether auction price, no, I have not thought about that. In the sense that I have not analyzed on how the futures market prices influence the spot market. I have not done sort of a quantitative analysis to understand how the spot prices moved after 2022. With relation to compulsory delivery, the matter of fact is that in practice, one could trade cardamom futures contract without actually accepting or giving delivery. However, because it's a clause in the contract, one cannot completely delink yours. One cannot expect the possibility that, if you are sitting on a cardamom futures contract on the day of delivery, one cannot discard the possibility that someone might come with 5 sacks of cardamom to your doorstep. And that is the leverage on which the spot market traders really worked with. And that is not the compulsory delivery logic is not something that exists in many contracts, but with agricultural contract as a way to minimize speculation. Most agricultural futures contract do have a clause on compulsory delivery. It is a different question altogether whether it really succeeded in minimizing the speculation, but as a linkage, it creates a strong link between the spot and the futures market. I think, I do understand. So the papers you mentioned, just to last response, I'm aware about the 3 studies you mentioned, and I did benefit from your work on the non-participation of traders in the pepper market. With related to Professor Gulati Chatterjee et al. Paper, in their paper, using principal component analysis, they do say that pepper futures is one of the strongest possibility in the futures market. Pepper has great possibility in the futures market. So pepper is one commodity they posit as a potential winner, and the paper was published in 2017. But if you ask around, ICX was trying to establish a pepper futures market, has been trying to establish a pepper futures market from 2017 to 22, unsuccessfully, for the reason that there is no participation from the local traders. So here you have a PCA telling you that pepper is a potential winner, and then you have a market reality that says that futures cannot happen because the local traders are not really interested in the way that ICX is thinking about structuring it. So I specifically call out that paper in my chapters on pepper in my work. I'll definitely strive towards publishing it. But thanks a lot, Professor Sumaleta, for these comments. They're genuinely helpful. I do think that I should do those things you suggested, and also motivate the study a little bit better. I completely take that point. Thank you.
Thank you, Tony. We now turn to Q&A, and Raghavendra has a question, which also resonates with one that I have. And his question is, are farmers aware of the futures market? And what I would like to add is, and what difference does that make to their exchange relations? And also, as you explained, Syrian Christians and Tamil traders and auction houses, you also said they were producers. So there's a question from me, if you could flesh out for us and describe whether all producers are traders, the extent to which there is vertical integration and its social aspects, and the extent to which there are producers who are separated from the markets? And then I'll add another question later.
Okay. So the the farmers is a confusing category in Cardamom. Most of them identify themselves as farmers, but in the vocabulary of state, they are planters. To start with, the confusion. So there are roughly 40,000 farmers who own around 80,000 hectares or acres. I cannot really remember. I think hectares of cardamom land. Right? So there are 40,000 farmers. Many of them are small and marginal landholders. This is not something that commonsensically you associate with cardamom. You think cardamoms are all about plantations, but if you look around, there are actually a whole bunch of small and marginal farmers who are cultivating cardamom. Those people are neither aware nor interested in futures, and they said that if you're interested to understand how futures market work, don't talk to us. We have no interest. We are not aware. We have nothing to do with it, right? People with, let's say, 5 acre or so, 3+ acres of cardamom plantations, they are the ones who sort of put the hat of traders and wear the cloak of auctioneers by coming together. So most of these auction companies, if you talk to people, you would find many of them are people who have exposure with urban, urban educated, many of them, and they have cardamom land in the CHR, and they are the ones who start. They are the ones who become traders, and they are the ones who start auction companies. I don't have a numerical division between these because one could safely assume that if there are 40,000 people who are cultivating cardamom, a very small handful of them are into sort of actual trading and auction companies. But what one can say is that all 12 auction companies, when I was doing my fieldwork, or 12 of them did have a trading arm, and at least 6 of them also owned cardamom plantation as companies. So these are company-owned plantations. So these were limited companies, and they owned cardamom plantations. So you get apples of all sizes and shapes, and then you have this large swath of marginal landholders who deposit their cardamom with these auction companies and expecting a decent price, or they sell it to random shopkeeper, shop owner in the area for if they want to quickly get the money right on that particular day, then they sell it in the shop, and if they are willing to wait a little bit, they sell it through auction. These were the large majority, and because of my intent of my study was to understand futures market, they are not the group to which I talked the most. Although of course, you are interested in how marginal landholders do, so you do that a little bit. But at the core of my study are the handful of traders and the companies they make and the relation they had with the national capital sort of thing. Yeah, thank you. I hope I answered.
Yes, that's fine. Raghavendra has followed up with another question, but I'm going to park it for the moment because Deepak Johnson has a very simple question, which is a complicated answer, which is that your data shows that from the start of the futures market until 2012, contracts, i.e. liquidity, increased, and then it declined afterwards. And he wants to know why. I mean, you started to talk about it. You mentioned liquidity, you mentioned uncertainty, and your key thing is quality. Could you just summarize for our ignorant audience, including me, exactly what factors contribute to the decline of futures after 2012? And then the question is, what on earth replaced them? What replaced the futures market after 2012?
So I've just said this in two phases. The first phase between 27 and 12, unfortunately, so one scientific way to do this was could have been to see what was the futures contract like from 2007 to 12, but no way NCX could give you the data on that. I mean, you know, they said that you have there is no way that we show outsider our contract, predated contracts, you know. Yeah, but thankfully I could track the website constantly from 2018 to 2022, 23. That's how I managed to pick 2 or 3 versions of their contract, but they could never give me access to something that happened before 2012, right? But however, my field insights tell me that when MCX established the futures contract, they really went about advertising it in the region, right? So there were agencies from MCX who convinced a handful of traders, both small and large traders, telling them that, you know, we have this new way for you to buy and sell cardamom. And they thought that, and many of them thought that this is another way for them to make quick bucks, you know. And one of the problems I encountered in the field, this is the sort of the terrible anthropological move. So I went and I introduced, I said, you know, I'm from Mumbai, and many of them, you know, I could really see them rolling their eyes, and they thought I'm from MCX, and they're like, never again, right? I have many traders, I mean, telling me that, and they refer to Mumbai traders as Seth, and they say that if ever a Seth, you know, decides to come here to our region, we will hang them alive here because they took away and burned the money, which is another way of telling me that they did reposit their faith in the futures market in the first 5 years, thinking that they can make money out of it, but then they burned their fingers. And as I mentioned, these are men with Himalayan egos, very difficult for me to get you know, a story out of them on why they invested and how they burned their hands. You know, you can create a rapport and get a little bit out of them. And the reason that was given to me was that the futures market was widely advertised, right? Unfortunately, because of the data issue, I said I could not track how the quality parameter of the contract change from 2012 onwards. I don't think it changed. I think what happened was that once these chaps realized that they're losing money in the futures market, instead of making it, they slowly started to withdraw. But that is some kind of it's a quasi-anthropological assumption, you know, because devoid of data on the contract and their parameters from 2012 to 2007. One really cannot say that with absolute certainty, but the field sensibility tell me that, you know, people burned their hands and slowly started to withdraw. You know, yeah. I understand that's
Okay,
partly satisfactory answer. Yeah,
yes, no, it's very satisfactory. Utkarsh, can we have 10 more minutes, or is there a cutoff time? Because
Yes,
there's a
we
lot
can.
to discuss.
We can.
We can, good. Let me go back to Raghavendra because it follows on from what you were just saying, Tony. Raghavendra's second question, if I've got it right, is we have traders in Kerala, we have producers, and we have auctioneers. Do they have different interests in the futures market? Or do they have the same interests? That's his question. And that relates to your theory, your institutional theory of warring classes. And I had a question about whether they are warring classes or whether they're class fractions in the Indian mercantile classes. So I think you need to explain that as well. So it's a question about different interests in the futures market.
Right. So thank you. So the producers of cardamom, like I said, most of them have no interest in the futures market because they are small and land holders. And like Dr. Sumaleta said, they don't have large quantity of cardamom to deposit in the futures market, following all their quality requirements, so on and so forth. The traders from Kerala, whom I call the national market maker, they belong to the merchant class. Their interest in the futures market was with the hope that it follows some kind of price logic that they are familiar with, the price logic of some fundamental, you know, the futures price in relation to some kind of relation with that of fundamental price, right? The interest of national market maker or traders from Mumbai, whom I call the national market maker, their interest in futures market has nothing to do with cardamom. They're only interested in futures market. It doesn't matter to them whether it is cardamom or a car or cardamom. You know, they are good as long as they can buy and sell contract and make money out of arbitrage. They're good. Why I think these people belong to two different classes and some kind of opposition are not in their positionality with relation to means of production. Both of them definitely belong to Indian mercantile class, but I do think that given their positionality in the financial landscape, there is a difference in their means, in their access to their means of distribution. And once you think about futures market and everything associated with futures market as a means of distribution, then there comes some kind of a class cleavage between the national and the regional market maker, because the class positionality is not in relation to their means of production per se, in relation to trade, but specifically on account of how they understand and how they interact with finance. For the regional market makers, yeah. Do you have something to say, Professor?
No,
Barbara?
I was just sorry, I cut you short because I was responding.
Please.
Just suggested is quite original that classes can be defined through relationship to the means of distribution, which will make a lot of us think. Can I go on to Dinesh's question? And then I'll go back to Deepak and Anonymous, because their questions are about policy. Dinesh's question asks whether quality is related to size.
Mm-hmm.
And is size easier to categorize than quality? What's the difference between quality as a concept and size for the guys in these markets?
Sure. No, the quick answer would be that size is one of the variable in the quality parameter. So you can have cardamom from 5.5 to 8 or 8.5 among cardamom in terms of size. But then there are a whole other bunch of things that determines quality. So you have discoloration, the split, the thrift, and moisture level and all of that. So you can create multiple permutation of this. You can have a 6 mm cardamom with X moisture, Y, split, so on and so forth. You can have 6.5 mm cardamom with, and so on and so forth. So size is not equal to quality, although many people understand quality in synonymous to size, but that's not how traders understand it, right? So yeah, that's a quick answer to that.
Thank you. Right, there are two questions on policy. Anonymous has asked very interesting, what I think of as an MSP question. Is state support another alternative to future, sorry, not another, but an alternative to futures markets? And a variation on that question is, are there other policies for containing price volatility that you think might be more successful than futures markets? So that's the first policy question.
The quick answer is that I'm not sure what state support would exactly entail, and so I would
price support. I think.
I don't know. I mean, I really don't have an answer. I mean, I have not imagined a successful MSP regime in a commodity like cardamom. I have not imagined that. The second question was, is there other ways? I really don't know. I don't know whether. Yeah, I'm sorry.
But these are quite interesting questions, and Deepak Johnson has, in part 2 of his comment, he asks about free trade agreements, and do they have any effect on the futures and the non-futures markets in cardamom?
To the best of my awareness, no. To the best of my awareness, no. Also because of the fact that for cardamom, the share of international market has declined compared to their domestic counterparts. So international market was a major buyer till early 90s, but then now I believe a lot of Indians eat a lot more sweet and put more cardamom in chai, and for that reason, perhaps the share of domestic market has increased, and domestic market has now largely replaced international market as one of the. Now this is not the case for pepper. It is a different story. But for cardamom, domestic buyers are the key these days. So I would assume that the free trade agreements didn't really matter for the price. But yeah, thank you for the great question.
Thank you. Utkarsh, 5 more minutes or is time up?
We can take 5 more minutes. That's not at all.
Okay. Does anybody else online want to ask questions? Because I think all the ones in the Q&A have been asked. So if not, let me, without more ado, ask some of my own. You said something very interesting, which I think needs a bit of elaboration. You said that quality as a characteristic of the commodity had the capacity to affect market structure. And yet, I think you said it twice. Could you elaborate on that? Because that's quite an original proposition.
Okay.
The quality of the commodity influences the structure of the market.
Okay. Would you like me to respond now, or would you like me to
Yes,
take
please.
your
Yes,
follow-up?
please.
So, okay. So my my theorization is that quality by itself cannot impact the market structure. Left to itself, it's not that, so I don't belong to, let's say, Latourian version of sociology, doing that the materiality can bring its own politics. My intervention is to say that individuals can intervene and strategically use quality aspects of a commodity to influence the market structure. So, for example, like I was saying, that the pepper had a long run in futures market. It was the same commodity with same number of quality attributes, but futures market worked. Then you had pepper futures being taken over by the National Commodity Derivative Exchange. And then in 2013, through a controversial episode, pepper market, futures market shut. So what changes is not quality per se. What changes is how the market, the dominant thing, the dominant change is the exchange. How do people use quality? In the case of Cardamom, the multiple quality variants that Cardamom have, 22, as I mentioned, those quality gradations were used in a way strategically to derail the futures market. So that, quality alone cannot impact futures market, but quality can be sort of used, strategically utilized to impact the functioning of market structure. And so you need both quality and the politics for this. Quality alone will not do that, but quality and politics can sort of make market structure. Having said that, because it's something that I got from the field, it's something that I'm still trying to theorize, and I'm also looking at your own work, Professor Barbara, to understand how quality traverses different spheres as market participants encounter this, and also the work of Mekla and Richa and all host of others to better sort of found sort of more cement it a little bit better. But the hunch, the intuition is that quality alone will not, but there is enough possibility in quality to be strategically used. Thank you. I hope that's
Okay, that's a really useful answer, because in your proposition that there's a particular institutional approach which you're going to call politics, it's your own neologism. What you're doing is rejecting other institutional theories. And you've been to Amherst, and you know about social structures of accumulation, which do count for power. And a lot of us have been struggling with various kinds of theories in political economy, not just institutional economics, about institutions. And in your explanation, it isn't just quality and its politics. It is also the nature of the structure of the trade. And you have to invoke different class fractions in commercial capital. And so I hope that in your thesis, if not here in this lecture, you've gone through some of these non-neoclassical institutional theories and rejected them. And I'd be hugely interested in the reasons why. And that's because it isn't just quality that determines exchange and returns in markets in commodities other than cardamom. And if your theory is to travel, is to be applicable to other commodities, then we need to know more about the non-quality, non-price factors which actually affect price formation. So I think that those are the end of my comments, and I think we really probably are out of time, but could go on talking about this for a long time. So I know that the foundation wishes to give a vote of thanks, but I would like to inform everybody that we'll be back on the 29th of November, and we will move away from commodity markets to labor markets, I think. And Prachi Bansal is going to talk about labor absorption in Haryana. Meanwhile, to all of you who've watched, and to Sumalata and to Tony Kurian, thank you very much. Over to you, Utkarsh.
Thank you, Professor. Thank you so much. I'll take a few moments to extend a vote of thanks, but before that, I would like to convey our sincerest apologies to the attendees who faced problems while joining the webinar. We were facing a technical glitch beyond our control, which led to this situation. We sincerely apologize and thank you for your patience. We'll ensure that the recording of this webinar is made available on our social media handles very soon. I would like to express my gratitude to today's presenter, Tony Kurian, for his insightful presentation. I trust that the discussion proved as enriching for him as it was for all of us in attendance. I would also like to thank our discussant, Dr. Sumlata BS, for her valuable contribution and participation in today's proceedings. We are, of course, indebted to Professor Barbara Harris-White for her exemplary chairing of the session and for her unwavering support in enhancing the scope of this series. My sincere appreciation extends to the online team at FAS, Sandeepan, Tapas, and Setu for their vital role in ensuring seamless execution of this seminar. I would like to acknowledge the generous support of the Rosa Luxemburg Stiftung South Asia, which has made this series possible. Last but not the least, we extend our heartfelt thanks to all attendees for their engagement and for contributing to a vibrant discussion. As previously mentioned, this session will be available on YouTube. To learn more about the foundation and our activities, please visit our website, fas.org. We are active on social media, and you can find us at FAS Agri Studies on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. I request you to follow us on these platforms to stay updated, not only on this seminar series, but also to know about our other initiatives. We'll conclude the session here. Once again, I thank you all for your continued participation throughout the series. As Professor Barbara just mentioned, our next seminar will take place on November 29, 2024. And it will feature a presentation by Prachi Bansal, who is Assistant Professor at the Jindal School of Government and Public Policy, OP Jindal Global University, on the topic of labor absorption in crop cultivation in rural Haryana. Thank you. See you all.